And now, coming to you live from the back of the school bus, this is Half Baked News with your half serious host, Mark Herr.
Hi, my name is Mark Herr. I'm the president and co-founder of the Center for Self-Governance. Welcome to our presentation on The Hidden Man Who Changed Your World. In The Creed of Freedom, G. Edward Griffin states, "It's easy to know what we dislike about a political system, but it's not easy to agree on what would be better." We think the problems we face are with the person who is ruling and not with the system itself. And as long as the system allows it, it's just a matter of time before a new despot will rise to power. To prevent that, it's necessary to focus on the system itself. The hidden man who changed your world did just that. He gave his entire life to fundamentally modifying the American system through changing education, advancing political sciences, injecting regionalism, weaponizing administrative management, driving cooperative federalism, just to name a few of the hidden man's immense influences to collapse the American system of government. In his talk, The Chasm, G. Edward Griffin outlines the 20th century regressive strategy for modifying the entire American system. One of the components of this strategy was the American Historical Association's 1929 Commission on the Social Studies. The CSS is remembered today for its role in launching regressive education. The Commission on Social Studies was compelled to consider the conditions and prospects of the American people merging into a world order. The hidden man was an executive member of the Committee for the Social Sciences and a significant contributing author to its findings and conclusions. The problems we are facing today in the United States, in addition to regressive education, are due in large part to the hidden man's structural changes to the American system of government. For example, because of the hidden man's direct influence, the president is not running the White House. Bureaucrats are making administrative law, labeling you extreme, white, anti-government, hate terrorists, weaponizing government to cancel, censor, surveil, arrest, charge, try, imprison, or worse, kill you for non-compliance. Number 5, local and state governing gradually transfer their authority to a regional government that is ran by bureaucrats. 6, hundreds of non-government associations groom your elected, appointed, and employed governing. Number 7, to be receptive to hidden man's marble cake government and resistant to layer cake government. 8, local governments eliminate layer cake government. 9, the political left and right's natural tendencies are exploited to be divisive and crash the layer cake system. The hidden man who changed your world was born in 1874 during Reconstruction and at the genesis of the association movement. He grew up in Iowa as a Scottish Covenanter. His father was a merchant, postmaster, and a trustee of Lenox College. His college education was set during the regressive era. He studied for his doctorate in political science in countries like France and Germany. He created the first political science department at the very same university attended by former President Barack Obama. The hidden man who changed your world served as a public information officer in Italy during World War I. His mission was to undermine communism and fascism. He ran for the mayor of the city that Al Capone once controlled. His campaign manager was Howard Ickes. Howard Ickes introduced him to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And by the way, Take a note of whose portrait takes center stage in President Biden's White House. The hidden man who changed your world formed the Social Science Research Council during the 1920s, and he sat on a committee with then businessman FDR studying Social Security. In the 1930s, President FDR appointed him to serve on the National Resources Committee. I want you to meet the hidden man, Charles E. Merriam, 1874, and he died in 1953. Charles Merriam primarily co-authored the official federal document known as Regional Factors in National Planning in 1935, the National Resources Committee. He recommended structural changes to the American system of government because state boundaries, quote, are fixed in the U.S. Constitution, and we need to deal with the problems arising out of the separation of powers. Thanks to Charles Merriam, today, there are over 97,000 regional governments in the United States. These regional governments circumvent the division of powers. They cause local public officials to think globally instead of locally, and they weaken the fixed boundaries of state government. During the same decade, Charles Merriam was assigned by FDR to the Brownlow Commission. In this commission, he studied administrative management and recommended structural changes to the executive branch because, thanks to Charles Merriam, the president needed help and Congress responded. One, in 1939, Congress passed the EOP, the Executive Office of the President. Maybe now you understand why the president is not running the White House. Or maybe you can see why previous presidents were impeached 2 or 3 times, because maybe the EOP didn't have control over them. Number 2, in 1946, Congress passed the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act. In effect, Congress transferred legislative authority over to the executive branch, controlled by the EOP. And number 3, in 1954, by passing the Housing Act, Section 701, this essentially gave federal bureaucrats the authority to cooperate, collaborate, and communicate with local and state bureaucrats on housing issues related to funding, mandates, regulations, etc. In his work, Systematic Politics, Charles Merriam believed that Plato projected an aristocracy pure and simple, especially selected, specially trained guardians of the law who are free from the entanglements of family, property, industry, and other distracting factors. So just ask yourself, are you qualified to be part of this pure and simple aristocracy, specially selected, specially trained? Are you free from the entanglements of family, property, industry, and other distracting factors? If not, in Charles Merriam's world, you would not be part of this pure and simple aristocracy or a guardian of the law. In his work, Written Constitutions and Unwritten Attitudes, Charles Merriam longed for breaking the form of U.S. government with bold statesmanship, reorganizing our government with uniform laws under new politics in a new world. The state of Chicago, he dreamed, the state of Philadelphia, rather than the state of Illinois or the state of Pennsylvania. You see, in Charles Merriam's world, in Plato's Republic, the city-state is the center of the universe, and only those free from the entanglements of family and industry, etc., would be part of this new guardians of the law that would break the form or the old form of the U.S. government with this new bold statesmanship, reorganizing our government, creating uniform laws across all of the state boundaries under new type of politics in a new world that is governed in the state of Chicago or the state of Philadelphia, rather than the state of Illinois or the state of Pennsylvania. In his work, Public and Private Government, Charles Merriam asked, what if the state should be a world state? Does a nation lose its personality within the jural order of the world? He asks, Are democracies the best form of political association yet devised? In his work, Political Power, Charles Merriam asserts his purpose is to set forth what role political power plays in the process of social control. Every power system is adjusted, which requires the cooperative control of the entire community. He asserts that the propagandist systematically surveys the field and spreads the seed mechanically in spots where it may most quickly or most deeply take root. In his work, The Making of Citizens, Charles Merriam theorized how much pressure was needed to induce the US American patriot to change his allegiance to that new order, that new politics. He theorized that by presenting a more attractive picture than that of the present state, down goes their old allegiance to that old system of government, and up comes a new allegiance to Charles Merriam's new order, jural order of the world. He theorized that the school system was one of the most important agencies for the purpose of fostering group solidarity. In his work, Civic Education in the United States, Charles Merriam concluded, our problem is to find a better equilibrium, a new social reorganization, and a readjustment of the American form of government. Social science is the master key to civic education. It unlocks the door to political and social advance. The future citizen could be trained to look forward to the constant reconstruction of the modes of life. Merriam's colleague, Morton Grotston, in Eisenhower's Goals for American, coined the terms marble cake federalism to describe Merriam's new system of cooperative federalism. He also coined the terms layer cake federalism to describe the old 19th century system of dual federalism. Public schools today teach that Merriam's new system replaces the old US system. They say that marble cake is 21st century, where the federal and state governments are mixed together, and that the layer cake is old and 19th century. And this is where the states and the federal government are distinct and separate in their controls. So you can see that Charles Merriam's works, his beliefs, his energies, the policies that he created through his appointments by FDR in the 1930s and 40s, advances itself in the 1960s with this phraseology of marble cake and layer cake. And then public schools in the 21st century are teaching the next generation where they're fostering group solidarity. But the layer cake system is old 19th century, where the federal and the state governments are separate and distinct. And they teach that marble cake, or cooperative federalism, a Merriam creation, is 21st century, where the federal and the state governments are mixed together. You eliminate the boundaries between the governments, and you eliminate those pesky separation of powers. So some key takeaways from Charles Merriam, the hidden man who changed your world. Number one, he uses civic education to induce the governed, you and I, to become allegiant to marble cake and intolerant of the layer cake. He uses the associations to groom the governing, our elected, appointed, and employees, to be marble cake receptive and layer cake resistant. He uses administrative management to weaken the legislative bodies from the school all the way to the federal, while strengthening the executive branch's bureaucratic controls. And he inserts regional governments to gradually dissolve state and county jurisdictions. So I have a call to action for you. It's time to dismantle Mr. Merriam's marble cake grooming factory. So how do we dismantle 3MCF, or Mr. Merriam's marble cake grooming factory? Number one, I created Center for Self-Governance to troubleshoot this problem and identify solutions with actions. The first solution with action starts with you. Inoculating, preparing, and empowering yourself to dismantle 3MCF by completing Center for Self-Governance Leadership and Self-Governance training or our Structure of Government classes. For more details on that training and those classes, please visit us at centerforselfgovernance.com. The second solution with action involves building a team of dismantlers in your community who, knowing the system, build relationships with the governing, the elected, appointed, and employees to identify those grooming association influences, those bureaucratic controls, and those injected regional governments, and develop your team's policy strategies and practical implementations. For more details, please visit our website, centerforselfgovernance.com/3MCF. The third solution with action requires your team of dismantlers to circumvent the label lynching wall by publicly stating your rejection of all racial, sexual, religious, and aristocratic supremacy, and your rejection of all forms of political violence for political purposes, and clarifying the legal definition of terrorism and threat assessment tags. For more details, please visit our website, centerforselfgovernance.com/PWOL. That stands for the political weaponization of labels. The fourth solution with action requires your team of dismantlers to seize the meaning of personhood and parenthood by clarifying with your school board what their policy is on the distinction between animals and human, by introducing a resolution or policy stating that parents are the primary stakeholder in their child's upbringing, and seeking city and county proclamations resolving the previous, and introducing state legislation or constitutional amendments to resolve the previous. For more details on this solution with action, visit our website, centerforselfgovernance.com/PPS. I want to thank you for taking time to learn about the hidden man who changed your world, Charles Merriam. In his world, he believed that our old system of dual federalism or layer cake was antiquated. The separation of powers are pesky. He believed in marble cake or cooperative federalism in Plato's Republic, where the city-state rules and the regional government is how you govern. And eventually the counties and the states are dissolved in their jurisdiction. He did this through his regional factors in national planning, through his Brownlow Commission on Administrative Management, by creating the associations that groom our elected, appointed, and employees. And his colleagues have advanced his ideas into the 20th and late 20th and early 21st century to train the next generation of students through public schooling to have group solidarity in being receptive to his marble cake system and resistant to layer cake federalism. If you have any more questions for us or would like to get more details on our leadership training or structure of government classes, please reach out to us at our office phone number, as you can see on your screen. You can email me directly for questions on Charles Merriam or visit our website, centerforselfgovernance.com. Thank you so much.